So I lead the Compliance and Ethics program under our Chief Risk and Compliance Officer, Todd Hartman. My role is to create a strategy for the Compliance and Ethics program and then execute that strategy. Collaboration in the compliance space is such a critical piece to building a successful program. When you benchmark in compliance, you're not really competing with the companies with whom you're benchmarking. So as an attorney, a lot of compliance folks have a legal background, and I have one as well. And as an attorney, you don't really benchmark so much with other companies, particularly competitors. But I found when I entered the compliance space, it was much different and much more enjoyable in terms of being able to reach out to counterparts at other companies, including at competitors, and find out what best practices were, because you're all working towards the same goal. You're not going after the same customer base when you're doing compliance. What you're really doing is trying to ensure the most ethical culture at your company that you can create and ensure compliance. And that's good for everybody. It's not a competitive, well, it can be a competitive advantage, but you're not competing against somebody else to get customers based on compliance. You're just trying to do the right thing. In Minnesota, which is where Best Buy is headquartered, we're really lucky to have a group called the Min Compliance Group. And when I came into my role, I tapped into that group, and the benchmarking that I've done with other people, either through the local group that I have or through Ethisphere and Bella, has been really critical in improving our program and making sure that we are engaging in best practices, getting new ideas for how we can enhance culture or better ensure compliance. But again, being able to tap into other people's programs and talk to other people that are doing the same kind of thing and have the same goals, and seeing different approaches and learning what's worked for them has been really helpful in building our own program. One thing that we did this year, which was new, was a much more robust ethical culture survey. And we used Ethisphere's ethical culture survey to do that. And that really, really helped our program in these past 12 months in terms of helping us identify some areas where maybe we weren't as strong as we'd like to be. Or maybe we had a bit of a gap that, or something was a gap that we hadn't seen before. So getting those results back not only helped in terms of figuring out where we might have opportunity, but also helped us, gave us a platform with our executives to say, here's where we are, here's the benchmark, here's where we'd like to be, here's where we have room to grow. And providing data to the leaders was really the tipping point in terms of them being able to realize, wow, now I know what I have to work on. And then we would provide the tools, either homegrown tools or, again, using something that we've gotten from the Bella community to say, here, leader, here's something you can do to close this gap. We see a gap here in these ethical culture survey results. Here's what we think can help close the gap. And the leaders have been really receptive to that. If you can provide them with data instead of just, we need to do better generally, it's really helpful in terms of moving the needle and closing those gaps. One thing that we've been really focused on is making sure that any kind of training that we put out there, communication, resonates with our with all employees, from the CEO to the line level employee. And so one thing we've done is create videos for our trainings that are like our vignettes and that are successive, so it's more like a series, and it gets you sort of on the edge of your seat waiting for what's next and creating characters to do that. And we found that that really helps, again, that resonates more with all of the employees. Instead of just telling a story about, why it's important, show why it's important, how, give them something that they can really connect with at every level. So, for example, for our code of conduct training last year, we went into a Best Buy store and we shot footage of actors. Some of them actually were team members, and engaging in a situation. I think the situation was where shoulder rubbing. The general manager of the store was shoulder rubbing certain employees, and you'd see the employees, like one woman employee went back to her car and went when she got into her car, and it was such a visual, reminder of that makes people feel icky. And I really think that resonated with people. And again, no matter where you were, CEO level, C-suite level, or line level, people, I think, that could connect with that. And it's when you have that connection is when you really start to learn, and then you think about it later. If something comes up that makes you feel, ugh, You know what to do because we've showed you in the video what to do. Then we've showed you what happens after you make a call and place a report, etc. So that's been a really important way for us to connect with employees across the board. One thing that we did that was really helpful with the ethical culture survey data was that we got customized reports for every C-suite leader. So our first step with the data was to go to our CEO and his direct reports and share the data with them. And he was so excited to see the data that he said, I want all of my direct reports to have a customized report to show what their vertical looks like, which was really helpful. So when we had those meetings, then a lot of times those C-suite executives would say, I want all the leaders on my team to hear this too. So then we would go to another meeting of those leaders. And then that helped us parlay that into a meeting, a town hall meeting with all of now we're at an officer level, with the officer level teams. Those teams then continued to push the message out. Or, for example, we got more inroads with our field, which is always the hard connection to make. So when you're at corporate, it's really hard to know what's going on in the field. But if you can reach the leaders at corporate that lead those people in the field, and then you can go out to the field and share with them that same data, it really helps. And again, having the data is just the starter of the conversation. And once you get your foot in the door, as long as you have good data and something to help them solve any problems that you identify, you're going to be welcome at the table. And that's a critical piece to building a program.